Everyone wants to be more productive, to wake up sharp, move with purpose, and actually get things done instead of fighting the same mental battles every day. We chase planners, apps, routines, and motivation videos, hoping this time will finally transform our output. But here's the twist. None of that matters as much as you think, because the real secret to extreme productivity isn't about working harder, waking up earlier, or forcing discipline. In fact, the top performers in the world don't rely on motivation at all, because they've unlocked something far more powerful that flips their brain into peak performance mode on command. And once you understand it, productivity almost feels unfair. For years, we've been sold a lie about productivity that the most successful people win because they have more discipline, stronger willpower, or superhuman motivation. But that idea collapses the moment you look at the science. In a Stanford study, students who relied on willpower alone experienced a 35% drop in performance under mild stress. Meanwhile, students who used systems, routines that removed decision-making and protected their focus performed consistently regardless of pressure. The lesson is clear. The top 1% don't fight their brain. They design their environment so winning becomes automatic. This isn't about trying harder. It's about engineering your life so the correct behavior happens by default. So how do you apply this? Imagine your productivity like a phone battery. Most people wake up and immediately start leaking energy, checking notifications, scrolling, reacting to everyone else's life before their own. Before breakfast, they've burned half their mental battery. The elite reverse this. They create a controlled input window for their brain. That means no phone within the first 30 to 60 minutes of waking. A simple grounding routine, like sunlight, hydration, light movement, and starting the morning with one high-value task, even for just 15 minutes. If you do that, your brain identifies you as someone who executes. You stop reacting to life and start directing it. This isn't extreme. It's a simple system with massive psychological impact. Why does this matter so much? Because productivity is not a time problem, it's an attention problem, and attention is the currency of achievement. The average person checks their phone 96 times per day, and heavy social media users show up to 20% lower working memory capacity. That means every time your attention is hijacked, you temporarily become less intelligent, less focused, and more stressed. Meanwhile, the highest performers optimize attention like athletes optimize recovery. They protect it ruthlessly because they know attention compounds. One focused hour has more career impact than 8 scattered ones. And once you zoom out, you see the real picture. Success isn't built on rare bursts of effort. It's built on consistent environments that make focus the default state. But here's where it gets even more powerful. Because removing distractions and controlling inputs is only the first layer. Because after clearing cognitive noise, top performers make a move most people never think about. And this next shift is what turns productive days into a peak performance identity that compounds for years. Here's the part almost everyone gets wrong about productivity. They try to change habits without changing identity. But neuroscience shows something incredible. Your brain behaves according to who you believe you are. In a study published in the journal Neuron, people who simply adopted the belief, "I am someone who follows through," increased task completion rates by over 40% without any external reward. Meanwhile, those who saw discipline as a struggle performed worse when stressed. The takeaway is simple but life-changing. High performers don't try to act disciplined. They become the type of person who identifies as disciplined. And once your identity shifts, your behavior follows automatically, because your brain hates acting in a way that contradicts how you see yourself. Productivity stops feeling forced and starts feeling like self-alignment. So how do you apply this in your life starting today? You don't need affirmations or complex psychology tricks. You need identity anchors. Tiny behaviors that prove to your brain who you are through action. For example, make your bed every morning as your first micro-win. Keep a 3-task daily list instead of 20. Do a 10-minute focused work sprint before touching your phone. Put your shoes by your bed as a pre-signal for movement in the morning. Every small action is a vote. I am someone who follows through. Over time, your brain builds a pattern, and the pattern becomes personality. Just like brushing your teeth isn't discipline, it's identity. Productivity becomes automatic when the actions are part of who you are, not what you force yourself to do. Think of this like installing a new operating system, rather than running a temporary app. Now zoom out and see why this matters in the bigger story of elite performance. When you shift identity first, everything else compounds faster. Motivation becomes irrelevant because you're not negotiating with yourself anymore. Willpower becomes a backup tool instead of your only tool. Systems stick because they match who you believe you are. Your mind stops asking, "Should I do this?" and starts asking, "When will I do this?" This is why world-class athletes warm up the same way every time. Why top CEOs use morning routines. Why artists step into creative rituals. Not because the ritual itself has magic, but because the ritual signals identity. You are training your brain to step into a higher version of yourself every day. And once you master this, you no longer chase discipline, you embody it. But identity alone isn't enough. Because once you've become the kind of person who follows through, the real advantage comes from what you choose to execute on. And if you don't learn how elite performers prioritize and sequence their decisions, you'll build energy and discipline only to waste it on the wrong tasks. And that takes us to the next system, the decision-making method that separates high achievers from everyone else and turns raw discipline into results that scale. The third key to transforming your life, and the reason most people never break their cycles, is identity. Discipline isn't just about routines and motivation, it's about who you believe you are. Research from Stanford University shows that when people shift from saying, "I want to be a runner," to "I am a runner," their likelihood of sticking to habits nearly doubles. Why? Because actions follow identity. You behave in alignment with the person you believe yourself to be. Change the way you see yourself, and you change the way you act, automatically. Most people fail not because they lack willpower, but because they're trying to build millionaire habits with a broke mindset, or a disciplined lifestyle, while still calling themselves lazy in their head. So how do you shift identity? You don't fake it. You prove it to yourself with small wins. Start saying, "I am someone who keeps promises to myself." Then back it with microactions. Wake up 15 minutes earlier tomorrow. Drink water before checking your phone. Do a 10-minute walk. Read 2 pages. Write 1 line in a journal. These tiny agreements train your brain to believe, "I am a disciplined person." Think of it like installing software. Every time you complete a small habit, you reinforce your identity. Want to become someone who works out consistently? Start with 5 push-ups daily. Want to become someone financially disciplined? Track your spending for 3 minutes at night. Do not chase the perfect routine, chase self-evidence. Because once you believe you are the type of person who succeeds, discipline becomes instinctive, not forced. This matters because habits without identity collapse under pressure. Routine dies when life gets stressful. Identity doesn't. When your old self would say, "Skip the gym," your new self says, "I go because that's who I am." This is why long-term winners, athletes, entrepreneurs, faith-driven leaders operate from identity. They don't force discipline, they live it. And the moment you stop trying to become disciplined and instead start acting as someone who already is, your transformation accelerates. When your identity finally aligns with your goals, procrastination fades, consistency rises, and growth becomes inevitable, not optional. But if you don't also remove the environments, distractions, and habits that reinforce your old identity, you'll keep getting dragged back. And that's exactly what we'll break next. How to engineer your environment so it forces discipline, even on days your motivation is gone. Stay locked in. This is where most people fall off, but where your breakthrough begins. Here's a truth that will shock you. Your environment has a stronger influence on your future than your motivation ever will. Research from Duke University found that up to 45% of daily behavior is automatic habit, triggered by cues around you. Meaning? Most people don't fail because they lack discipline. They fail because their surroundings are designed for distraction, not growth. You can pray for change, study motivation, repeat affirmations, but if your room, your phone, your social circle, and your daily triggers belong to the old you, then your old habits will win every time. The environment always beats intention. So how do you design your environment to make discipline unavoidable? First, remove friction from good habits and increase friction for bad ones. Want to wake up early? Put your phone across the room so you must physically get up to turn off the alarm. Want to eat clean? Meal prep once a week and keep junk food out of the house. If it's here, you'll eat it. Want to read more? Put a book on your pillow so you touch it before bed. Want to focus? Turn off notifications and put apps you waste time on inside a folder labeled "Don't Sabotage Yourself." Second, study your environment like a battlefield. If scrolling hits you at night, charge your phone in another room. If your desk looks like chaos, clean it and keep only what supports productivity. If certain people drain your energy or distract your vision, set boundaries or limit exposure. And if your dreams feel impossible where you are, create a micro-environment, a prayer space, a reading corner, a weekly coffee working ritual, a gym routine at the same hour every day. Control the space, and you control your behavior. Why does this matter so much? Because the person you want to become cannot survive in the same environment that created the person you are trying to outgrow. Every version of you lived somewhere, physically, digitally, socially. If your environment reflects your past, you stay stuck in it. But the moment your environment reflects your future, your habits follow. And this is where transformation stops being emotional and becomes structural. You're no longer relying on bursts of motivation. Your life is literally designed to push you forward. Small adjustments create massive momentum because discipline becomes the default, not the struggle. But here's the part people forget. Even the best environment can't help you if your mindset keeps sabotaging your progress. Because if the enemy can't stop your surroundings, he'll attack your thoughts. And here's what makes this journey truly powerful. The moment you realize wealth isn't somewhere outside of you, the moment you understand it grows from within first, everything changes. Because then you stop chasing, you start becoming, you stop rushing, you start building. And the world eventually adjusts to the strength of the person you've become.